Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. It is Wednesday, August 17th, and man, what a beautiful day it is here in central Oklahoma. You can see we've had a cool front come through. It's kind of hazy, and I'd guess it's around 70 degrees. There's a slight north breeze. So we got a break from the heat for at least a week, and then we'll see what happens after that. So usually the first week of September we'll have us a nice cool front come through, and it'll get down in the 60s for a day or two. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of fall football weather and all of that when this cool weather starts coming in. So today I thought I would, since it's so nice out, as opposed to the last time I shot one of these, it was over 100 and I about croaked out on the heat. But I thought I would do a homestead update, basically a garden update, what this is going to be. And I'll walk through the orchard here and show you what's going on with that and the fruit trees. And the lower garden is done pretty decent. So let's get on down there and we'll walk through the fruit trees and talk about what's going on up here. So you remember I had the little Bing cherry trees I bought on eBay, and they were just little bitty sticks grafted and they died. They didn't do anything. They were dead when they got to me. Anyway, I did a refund thing on eBay and got my money back for those. This peach tree is a mystery. So it obviously, the peaches ripen at a later date. But, and our neighbor has a peach tree that ripens later too. But these peaches they're tiny. They never got any size. And they're hard as a golf ball. So I'm not counting on anything from that. So we did have decent peach harvest from, let's see, 2 of our other trees. So we've been eating on those. So remember this pear tree, it had some dead branches, and I came down and I started pruning them off. And I noticed when I cut them and the leaves they didn't feel dry and brittle. These don't either. So it's like they didn't die from being dried out, and the tree was, letting the leaves die to preserve moisture. As you can see from the looks of that comfrey, there's plenty of moisture around this tree from my drip irrigation system. Yeah, so the browning just spread throughout the tree, and I assume the tree is dead. The limbs, the limbs aren't dead, so I don't know. It might leaf out next spring, and it made a few little pears, but they're all shriveled up now. Some kind of disease. I don't know what it is. So I went over to this pear tree. So here's another pear tree, and it did just fine. So we've got a few nice pears on here, and a few are getting some bugs on them. But I don't know if these are ready or not. I did pick one and take in last night for the wife to sample, and she hasn't checked it out yet. They feel really hard, but yeah, I don't think they're ready. But they are getting some decent size to them. Yeah, they look okay. So this pear tree's doing okay. There's a little bit of dead leaf thing going on here, sporadic. See those dead leaves there. But other than that, the tree seems to be okay. Let's see, this little apple tree. The apples are getting ripe, but there's no size to them. So I'm not sure if they'll get any bigger. I'm keeping them watered. That feels firm. I don't think they're ripe though. Can't really tell with an apple probably. But yeah, they're getting plenty of water. I water them at least twice a week for an hour and a half. So this peach tree here, we finished harvesting all the peaches off of that. And these were white peaches, and they were pretty good. So we've got probably a couple of gallon bags of peaches that we've been making cobbler with, and they're excellent. So down here, I think last you saw, these tomatoes along here weren't doing real well, but they have come back, and now that we've got some cooler weather, I'm hoping to get some tomatoes off them. They had bloomed some, and I've gotten maybe 3, maybe 4 tomatoes out of all these plants. And I think there's 18 or 19 plants along here. But you can see they've got some blooms on, but it was so hot earlier on that the blooms would just fall off during the heat. We had 2 weeks, it was 100 degrees plus right in a row. And there was one day it was 110. So yeah, there's some nice blooms on here. So I'm hoping we get a good stand of tomatoes off of these. We've canned about, I think it was a dozen jars of salsa from the tomatoes up at the raised bed garden, and we'll walk through that here in a minute. But so the watermelons and cantaloupes were doing great until we had an incident. It looks like we had another one. So I put my electric fence, I put the shocker on it. It don't look like it's done any good. So we've got critters getting in here. Took that cantaloupe. So we've gotten probably 20 cantaloupe out of here, and they are delicious. But I don't think we're going to get any more because we're fighting the raccoons. So we had a lot of nice watermelons, and the raccoons it was one night and they cleaned it out. There was some nice ones in here, as you can see. Yeah, in fact that might be new damage. Those ones up in there. But there's a few cantaloupes left. And here's a couple small ones. But these turned out really good. So I made a whole row, planted a whole row of cantaloupes. These are little bitty ones. I don't know that they're any good. But yeah, they ate that big nice one over there. They left these. So yeah, you can see how the vines filled up this area and did great. So we weren't able to harvest a single watermelon out of here before the raccoons got in it. Ooh, there's one that they haven't found. I'm gonna have to get that one. Yeah, there's a nice one right there. These taste delicious. You can see how it's kind of cracking there, so, and it's turned yellow. These are delicious. I'll set them there for now. I got to be sure to remember to come back and get them. Looks like there's another one right here. Yeah, I need to get in here with my bucket and beat the raccoons to them. So the cucumber vines, this lighter color vine is cucumber, and we got a lot of cucumbers out of here, and I was slicing them up and making fridge pickles, and my wife made some bread and butter and canned them, and I made some dill pickles, and my fridge pickles were tasting bitter, and I kept thinking it was the brine I was putting them in, and so I tried it without garlic and without onion, just trying different things, and it always tasted bitter. So my wife said, "It's the cucumbers," and I'm like, "No, it's not. Look, watch, I'll eat one." So I ate one, and it was bitter. So these volunteer cucumbers are nasty. They're bitter tasting, and I never heard of that. So, and the cucumbers that are up in the raised bed, they haven't made enough to really make a difference, so we don't know. And I do have a few I've harvested up there, but I haven't tried them yet. This is the asparagus fern. We're just letting it go. So we'll get some nice asparagus off of that in the spring. And that's basically it for this garden down here. So the wood chips have done good. They kept a lot of weeds out, but you know, there's still a few that they pull up real easy. So in the fall, after the first freeze, I'll clear all this out, and I'll put in another layer of chips, and I might even tarp it to keep weed seed out of it. So here's my electric fence set up, and I don't think the fence is too small. I do have it's a little higher than 4-foot chicken net that I had on my chickens, poultry netting that will keep those suckers out of there. So I'll use that next year. So when I built this big 6-foot fence here, I took all that down because it wasn't keeping the coyotes out any longer. We did get a rain today. Looks like that's saying about a ½ inch. So the wife worked on this front a little bit. She pulled out some of the zinnias that were kind of fading, and this turned out really pretty. A lot of zinnias, a lot of passion flowers. Oh, I can smell those passion flowers from here. They smell so sweet. That is amazing how sweet they smell. There's some in there. The zinnias turned out really pretty. And I figured out, I don't know what these are, but they bloom during the day. Towards the evening they close up. They're little blue flowers. So we got the same thing on this side. We had some dahlias in here, but the dahlia blooms just aren't very pretty. There's none blooming right now. They just never got really big like they did last year. I don't know if it's the bulbs or if it was the heat or what, but that's the dahlia right there. And all the lettuce is bolted. Of course, it's not going to make lettuce in 100-degree weather. I just need to pull that out of there. But I would cut the tops off regularly and feed them to the chickens. They really like them. I got one solo tomato plant over here that I transplanted from down in that lower garden. It was a really weak plant. I didn't think it would do much, so I put it up here. So it's the same. It's just growing, and the blooms have been falling off. But there's some blooms right there. So hopefully, yeah, we'll get some off of that. Here's the back side of the cucumbers. So my cucumbers were overtaken by the carrots. So I had an awesome carrot crop. You might have seen that in an earlier video. But we haven't really tasted the cucumbers out of here yet. So I'm hoping these aren't bitter. And maybe we can make us another batch of pickles. The dill pickles I made, you really can't tell they're bitter, but the refrigerator pickles, that's just vinegar and water basically, they were nasty. Real bitter aftertaste. Let's go on into this raised garden. We'll show you that real quick. So the big feature of this garden is the bean tunnel. So the beans did great. They grew like crazy. And about 4 weeks ago, you could walk in here and the ground was covered with little white blooms. So all the blooms dropped, and it was right when we had the heat wave. So I don't know if the heat wave was the cause, but basically we haven't gotten hardly any beans off of this. But you can see there's some fresh blooms here. So I'm hoping we'll get closer to the fall, we'll get us a stand of beans and we'll get some. We got a few early, but not enough to really, put up. I bet we had maybe 2 quarts worth of green beans and that was it. So that you can see the vines are healthy. Just no beans. And we had the same variety last year and they did great. Lots of beans. In fact, we still have a few left. So the tomatoes that we did harvest and canned were off of these vines right in here in the back. So we got them here on the left and right there on this trellis here. And they did great. So they put on a good stand early, and then they intermittently have put them on here through the summer. And we'll get 3 or 4 a week, or actually more than that, but there's some here that we can pick. And those are good, just eating bacon and tomato sandwiches. So I'll grab those before we get out of here. So this part of the bed, we just kind of made into flowers. She planted some cosmos, and they were supposed to be really big blooms, and these were from Johnny's seed, and they did not turn out to be big blooms like they were supposed to be. So she's not happy with Johnny's seed. A few zinnias in here, and we planted some dahlia bulbs over here. Looks like they came up a little bit, but they're not very healthy. Oh, the jalapenos, the Fool You jalapenos turned out great. We made lots of jalapeno poppers, and looks like I'll let one get red right there. But yeah, nice big peppers. But as it got hotter, the size of the peppers got a little smaller. There's a nice batch of them right there. These plants are really healthy. I didn't put them in a cage or trellis them or anything. They did really good. I'm happy with those. The strawberries are dying back. The wife thinks it's too wet and they're rotting. So we changed the watering system to be once a day instead of twice a day, to see if that'll help. But yeah, so they're dying off in here. So out there towards the ends they're doing okay, but something about right in here, that I thought it was the heat killing them, but I don't know. So around this direction on the left was the yeah, we need to weed. So the cucumbers, so all the carrots were right along here, and you can see how it really stunted the cucumbers. So the carrot greens got up over the cucumber leaves and just choked them out. So we haven't had many cucumbers in here. Lots of blooms, so maybe we'll get some good ones out of here. There's some little baby ones there. But yeah, that cucumber vine has taken off. It's clear over into the tomatoes. Yeah, it's clear over here. It's traveling. So the wife was out here tying up these tomatoes, getting them out of the walkway here, and she was having a hard time with her hand. She can't feel part of her thumb from when she fell in that jar. She's getting a lot better though. She can touch her hands behind her back now from her shoulder surgery. She saw the surgeon today, and he said she's doing good, but it's going to take another 6 months to be back to 100%, if she gets to 100%. Yeah, so the chickens are doing good, laying lots of eggs. Boy, they were, you know, hanging out in the shade there for a while. But I grabbed 2 watermelons a couple nights ago before the raccoons got them, and there's one right there, and it's not sweet. It's ripe, but it's not sweet. So, you know, the watermelons may have been a bust anyway, even if the raccoons didn't get them. But hey, the chickens like them. But you know, the raccoons didn't leave anything for the chickens. They cleaned them up. They ate them down to the rind. But yeah, the chickens love the watermelons. And the bees will come in tomorrow morning and they will suck up all that juice and take it back to the hive. Yeah, so wind out of the north. The airplanes approach right over us, which the wind's not out of the north that often, so not a big deal. Let's see how many eggs we've got. Whoops. Yeah, there's a nice haul. Looks like they used a couple nest boxes. Yeah, we need to gather those up and get them up to the house. So yeah, they're going to roost. Got these LED lights in here on a solar panel. and a battery. Good night. Let's head down by the beehives, take a look at them real quick. Yeah, so this area here was going to be a cut flower garden, and we were going to put landscape fabric in here to keep the weeds out and make rows and put the wood chips over it, kind of like we did that lower garden. But we didn't get that done, so with the wife injured. So it'll still be there next year. Few holes in the plastic, and some grass started growing in there, but for the most part we kept it. We killed all the grass in there and all the weeds, so we just need to keep it covered up. So on the bee front, we're doing good. Had a record-setting honey harvest, 777 pounds, and there's still some honey out here. I've got one super full, and we're going to get a little bit of a fall flow, I believe, for some fall honey. So the hive count's 29, so that's 31, 32 there. A couple of new colonies I got going, and both of those are queen right. One's still a little iffy, so these two might get combined into one. I need to reduce them down into a 10 frame single box instead of that tall skinny thing. Wildflower Meadows hive's doing well. We did have one dead out right here. 23 was a, well, yeah, basically no bees were in it, and I caught it before the wax moths moved in. Took care of that last night, as a matter of fact. And then over here on the south side, these are all doing good. We've had one dead out over here so far. That little single box right there is not doing real well. It'll probably get combined at some point. You can see we've got some honey supers here on our super strong hives that had 3 honey supers on them for the spring harvest. I brought them back a super for them to do a fall harvest. So those are 3 really strong hives right there. And also that number 4 hive right there, I put a super back on it. And number 2 hive right there is one of my single deep experiments. I left it a single deep. It wasn't that strong. It wasn't strong enough to go to a double. And I put a honey super on it. So at harvest time, it had about 5 frames in there, and I left it, and it's full now. So that's a full honey super. So it's going to be a little bit darker honey. And here's our hive number 19. That's the other dead out, or abscond. There wasn't a bee left in that, so I'm not really sure what happened. So all those frames from those hives are in the freezer. So that's it. Yeah, I'm loving this cool weather. I am ready. I usually don't say this, but I'm ready for fall. That last heat wave was that was tough. Still got, so I've done 1 oxalic acid treatment, have 2 to go, and I might do 1 more. After I finish the 3rd one, I will do some alcohol wash checks to check the actual mite count randomly throughout here. I'm not going to tear down 30 hives and do a mite wash on every single one of those. I know I would wash a queen if I try to do that. Plus that's a lot of work I think is unnecessary. So just a sampling of the general area I think will be sufficient. So, and I have found in the past a hive that had a real high mite count after I did the 3. So it's good to check. So that's the end of the video. I'm gonna try and end it before this next airplane comes over. Give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and we'll catch you on the next Homestead update. Should be, let's see, September. Yay. Y'all take care.